It's the Wednesday Wisdom Show, and you want to know, what's the secret behind healing? All forms of medicine that we know of, modern medicine with its scientific methods and chemistry and surgery, older methods that have to do with alternative forms of healing, and even spiritual healing, they all say the same thing basically, that what we're trying to do in the healing process is to bring things back into balance. But what's balance? What is off, and what are we trying to bring together? And we know that in the human body, its most fundamental aspect is the cell. And cells are fairly similar, and they are the smallest, most individualistic aspects of the entire system. But they too are arranged inside of systems like nervous system, circulatory system, muscular system, the bones, and so on. And the systems are controlled one way or the other by a hierarchy of organizational systems. And the whole thing seems to be run and directed, at least materially, from impulses in the brain and so on. Leading edge medicine, really neuroscience, tells us that much of the direction of the body may be coming from places that we don't truly understand, perhaps outside of the body or in subtler aspects of physicality, energy, or so on. We don't know where the starting point of a lot of the organizational direction of the body actually exists. We know a lot, but there's much that we don't know. So what balance are we talking about here? And also, there is a question about whether illness itself is something that's not supposed to happen. Now, let me propose to you a simple, comprehensive way of looking at balance. What's off and what's in, and the process that we call illness and healing. There are two forces that exist in life. There is a force that is called a force of bestowal, and there is a force that's called the force of reception. Now, originally, there was only one creature ever created, and that's simply the force of reception. The force of bestowal created the force of reception in order to fulfill it. In other words, there's a transaction, a relationship, a connection between the giving force and the receiving force. Once this single creature of reception was created, then the giving force, in order to fully develop and fulfill this creature, broke it. It shattered it into many, many parts, more than is countable. And so just looking at the human species, because it's shattered far more than that into many levels, but just looking at the human species, what happened was that we broke down to the cellular level. We began to see ourselves as individuals, but only as individuals. And then our experience of life began, and it is made up of our illness. It's made up of our perception of brokenness. Now, we don't necessarily feel it as brokenness. We like it. We value it. We protect it. And in certain ways, rightfully so. But in other ways, it's really the core reason why we become ill. Because there is an intended process in all of this. There was an intended breaking of this single creature into, not just into cellular parts, but into systems. And what we don't feel is our relationship, our dependence, our interrelationship with the systems that we're in. And ultimately, with the greatest, most general system, which is the relationship to the force that created us. So, in the very structure of what we are both broken and sick, and we are healed. Because we belong to a complete whole, a system, a complete single creature in relationship to the source of life, and we experience ourselves as separate individual broken entities. And the whole experience of life, the pleasure of life, comes to us through closing the gap between the feeling of separation and the experience of our interrelatedness and our at-homeness in the system as a whole. Both of these experiences are the essence of what makes up what we call life. But there's a direction to life. And we start off happy with our illness. We enjoy the separation and we reinforce this separation. But the direction of, and that's good for a certain period of time, but the direction of life and its purpose is towards the reconnection and the awareness of our relationship to the system as a whole. And every step that we take or we're pushed to in life is one in order to close the gap between our feeling of separation with the fact that we are actually well or that we are actually whole. Our resistance to that, to connection with others in the human system, to others in family, to others in intimate relationships, to others in society, brings up illness that we feel as anger, as resentment, as disinterest, as a lack of care or a lack of responsibility. All of these things that we see in human behavior and human emotion are actually the place in which we have contact and connection with what's out of balance within our own system and within the body and in the larger system, and they reflect each other. They're really one and the same thing. The core issue behind every disease that we have is a broken connection between the body, say, is created a useful disconnection for the purpose of reconnecting something to a higher state of integration. So what medicine will do is that it will show the body particularly what's wrong in the area of disconnection. And that's actually what's going on with medication. Even with surgery, you're either clearing out a blockage or you're trying to reconnect an artery and, get rid of a blockage and make sure that all systems are flowing. This also happens on the level of human interaction. And in medicine itself, it does something that reflects what the larger system of nature or the creator is doing with the creature. Nature as a whole is trying to show us where the blockage is, and we wouldn't be aware of this unless we had pain of some sort. And in medicines are usually small doses, one way or another, of exactly what it is that is poisoning us. Why? Because we are both well and we are ill. And that well part of us, the systemic part of us, the part that is more connected, will come and help. It will rescue that place and reconnect the place where that organ or that system has become disconnected. And it does it by being able to identify more clearly what the problem is. And that's why, say, in homeopathic medicine, which philosophically says that if there is a problem, a poison in the body that is causing a problem, then you need enough of a dose of this, a microdose, in order for the overall system to understand what the problem is and where the problem is, and then it can react and pull us into our aspect of wholeness. It'll fix it. But we need to know what's wrong. And the whole system of disease and health is an intended process. The question for us is how somatized does it have to be? How much does it have to go into the body from the place of the emotional life that we have, from our decisions to connect or to resist connection? So the disconnection process is a natural process which helps us with growth, but only if we identify what's wrong and take the emotional decision about connection. Let's say a healer stands over a person. I don't care whether it is a spiritual healer or a doctor. If there isn't a connection and a trust that happens between the patient and the doctor, the healing is not likely, not on the conscious level. It may be a temporary one, but it won't be a complete healing, or it won't hold. If there is a relationship of trust there, then it starts to open up the real channels for healing. Medicine can do certain things and will do it even without our conscious awareness, but it won't change the way that we act. It won't change our decisions, our desire, and our understanding that connection is health. So, if we want to be healthy as a whole, we have to align ourselves with that essential general force behind all of life. We have to understand that we're aiming ourselves at that. The things that we do, the decisions that we make, the way we conduct our relationships need to be a search for greater and greater connection, the kind of connection that is there to heal not just my own illness or disconnection, because we're not on our own. We're all part of an integrated system, and our life and health depends on that. So just like the cell in the body, it ultimately does not live for itself, even though it's built as an individual. Its goal is to make certain that every part of the system that it's in functions well. It does what it must do in order for the whole body to be well. And for us, truly, what is the whole body? Is it just this physical thing? Or is it our family? Or is it our city? Is it our political party? Is it our nation as a whole? Is it our country? Is it the continent that we live on? Is it the ideology of our part of the world? Is it all of humanity? The impetus behind life as a whole is to bring us to a place of health in which we work for the well-being of the entirety of life. That seems out of reach, and it seems impossible, but it can't be impossible. It is the way that things are structured. It's what all impetus in life is leading us towards on a conscious level. And the secret behind health is that we too need to want the same thing as what the idea behind the entire system of life is, that puts us through illness and health for the purpose of understanding the original thought behind creation.